Chapter
AVS
6,
Media
Beast
Demo.
from Air. There was no light left save that of the stars. When they had understood what made this ghostly noise, and Percival was quiet again, Ralph and Simon picked him up unhandily and carried him to a shelter.
AVS
Piggy hung
Media
about
Demo.
near for all his brave words, and the three bigger boys went together to the next shelter. They lay restlessly and noisily among the dry leaves, watching the patch of stars that was the opening towards the lagoon. Sometimes a little un cried out from the other
AVS
shelters,
Media
and
Demo.
once a big un spoke in the dark. Then they too fell asleep. A sliver of moon rose over the horizon, hardly large enough to make a path of light even when it sat right down on the water. But there were other lights in the sky
AVS
that
Media
moved
Demo.
fast, winked or went out, though not even a faint popping came down from the battle fought at 10 miles height. But a sign came down from the world of grown-ups, though at the time there was no child awake to read it. There was a sudden bright
AVS Media
explosion
Demo.
and a corkscrew trail across the sky, then darkness again and stars. There was a speck above the island, a figure dropping swiftly beneath a parachute, a figure that hung with dangling limbs. The changing winds of various
AVS Media
altitudes took
Demo.
the figure where they would. Then, 3 miles up, the wind steadied and bore it in a descending curve round the sky, and swept it in a great slant across the reef and the lagoon towards the mountain. The figure fell and crumpled among the
AVS
blue
Media
flowers of
Demo.
the mountain side. But now there was a gentle breeze at this height too, and the parachute flopped and banged and pulled. So the figure, with feet that dragged behind it, slid up the mountain. Yard by yard, puff by puff, the
AVS
breeze hauled
Media
the figure
Demo.
through the blue flowers, over the boulders and red stones, till it lay huddled among the shattered rocks of the mountain top. Here the breeze was fitful, and allowed the strings of the parachute to tangle and festoon, and the figure sat,
AVS
its
Media
helmeted
Demo.
head between its knees, held by a complication of lines. When the breeze blew, the lines would strain taut, and some accident of this pull lifted the head and chest upright, so that the figure seemed to peer across the brow of the
AVS
mountain.
Media Demo.
Then each time the wind dropped, the lines would slacken, and the figure bow forward again, sinking its head between its knees. So as the stars moved across the sky, the figure sat on the mountain top and bowed and
AVS
sank
Media
and bowed
Demo.
again. In the darkness of early morning there were noises by a rock a little way down the side of the mountain. 2 boys rolled out of a pile of brushwood and dead leaves, 2 dim shadows talking sleepily to each other. They were the twins
AVS
on duty
Media
at the
Demo.
fire. In theory, one should have been asleep and one on watch, but they can never manage to do things sensibly if that meant acting independently, and since staying awake all night was impossible, they had both gone to sleep. Now they approached the darker
AVS
smudge
Media
that had
Demo.
been the signal fire, yawning, rubbing their eyes, treading with practised feet. When they reached it, they stopped yawning, and one ran quickly back for brushwood and leaves. The other knelt down. I believe it's out. He fiddled with the
AVS
sticks
Media
that were pushed
Demo.
into his hands. No. He lay down and put his lips close to the smudge and blew softly. His face appeared lit redly. He stopped blowing for a moment. Sam, give us tinder wood. Eric bent down and blew
AVS
softly again
Media
till the
Demo.
patch was bright. Sam poked the piece of tinder wood into the hot spot, then a branch. The glow increased and the branch took fire. Sam piled on more branches. Don't burn the lot, said Eric. You're putting on too much. Let's warm up.
AVS
We'll only have
Media
to fetch
Demo.
more wood. I'm cold. So am I. Besides, it's dark, all right then. Eric squatted back and watched Sam make up the fire. He built a little tent of dead wood, and the fire was safely alight. That was near. He'd have
AVS
been
Media
waxy.
Demo.
For a few moments the twins watched the fire in silence. Then Eric sniggered. Wasn't he waxy? About the fire and the pig. Lucky he went for Jack instead of us. Remember old
AVS
Waxy at
Media
school?
Demo.
Boy, you are driving me slowly insane." The twins shared their identical laughter, then remembered the darkness and other things and glanced round uneasily. The flames, busy about the tent, drew their eyes back
AVS
again.
Media Demo.
Eric watched the scurrying woodlice that were so frantically unable to avoid the flames, and thought of the first fire, just down there on the steeper side of the mountains, where now was complete darkness. He did not like to remember it, and looked away at the mountain top.
AVS Media Demo.
Warmth radiated now and beat pleasantly on them. Sam amused himself by fitting branches into the fire as closely as possible. Eric spread out his hands, searching for the distance at which the heat was just bearable. Idly looking beyond the fire, he
AVS
resettled
Media
the scattered
Demo.
rocks from their flat shadows into daylight contours. Just there was the big rock, and the 3 stones there, that split rock, and there beyond was